Well, I'm back at it, as you can see, trying to get the back cap on. So this is a little bit lighter material. It's probably like 20 gauge is what I guess, metal. So up here, I've got a couple bolts in. I got it in there, kind of figured out angle. Hopefully it's where it needs to be, but it's as far as it needs to be, so I can bolt through, or once I take out the bolts, after I set the corner angle, I can put rivets in. So that was kind of my thought. I would, basically just take the bolts out, put rivets in after I set the corner. But I wanted to be able to do all this without putting the tape in there, the butyl tape, and then having to mess with that and try it once, do it. So here, basically all I'm going to be doing is trying to bend it to the form of this corner, and it's a pretty straight corner. It has maybe a little touch of an angle, but I've got some clamps and some other things I'm going to try. Basically just try to bend it. I'm going to take that clamp out on that side, and yeah, we'll see how it works. Okay, so we got it all prepped, mostly prepped, and because the bottom holes are difficult, and I'll show you, to drill out from the inside, I went ahead and marked and then had a pattern from, this guy right here. It was almost an identical pattern, so I used that. Have a couple for the top, but I can get and drill in those, so those are basically just set holes. This corner, while it may not look super pretty right now, I'm gonna kind of work on that later once we get it actually on there. But it is at the corner, so that should be easy to slip in and get into place. And yeah, we're gonna get this guy up there. So the reason I pre-drilled out these bottoms is because, if you can see, this little lip makes it real hard to get in there and drill. So we got all that done beforehand. So talking sealants, obviously I have the whole row down here of rivets in. There's a little layer of butyl tape on the top and below that rivet line, same with the top. And then along this joiner right here, I put two rivets in, but there's about 2 different layers of sealant on there, as well as sealant along there. Obviously I got that side mostly done there, just looks nice. And then still got a lot more to do. All right, so with the back cap mostly done, at least in place, I'm moving on to the front cap. This one's a little more challenging. It needs a little more prep. There's a lot of goop. There's a lot of these rivets that didn't fully come out because they knocked them off from the outside and then the inner part stayed. Anyway, just gotta grind off, knock off that stuff, degoop, all that. But also the edges come down and it's like a slant, which isn't a problem for the top parts, but the bottom part, you have to go along that line. So that's gonna be a little challenging because I'm gonna have to basically but I'll have to set it up there and just basically trace along where I need to cut, and then cut with a jigsaw, which is fine. It just might not look the prettiest. So yeah, that's what I'm doing today. All right, so you can see I'm cleaning out this little gutter, and it's got to be caulked up well, and so I got to get that old goop sealant out. I'm also knocking out all of the root ends so that it exposes the holes, and up there I'm just gonna have to grind off the goop. Okay, so got the little gutter cleaned out. There's a bunch of gunks, got that cleaned out, and even down into the corner as much as I could, because this is where a couple of these pieces meet, and so if it's not sealed good enough, water will intrude inside. So got that all prepped around the corners, and then I've got some caulk over there. I'm gonna put that in next, before I even put the sheet on or anything, because I just want that to be on. And I'm just gonna start prepping to get hopefully some of these corners figured out and start measuring. So spent a half day on this front part and did get it mostly riveted in. There's some awkwardness a few places, like didn't realize that rivet didn't go and catch the sheet itself, so gonna have to take that out. Just kind of a drill out kind of a thing. Not too bad. Ended up using these straps to actually, I put a clamp here and then just pulled the sheet instead of like doing a corner, because I didn't really have something to bend it around. But it worked pretty well. I have another little sheet that I'm going to see if it will work. Obviously it's got to be a little bit taller than this. So it's got to be, I think that's 21 inches. And then there it's like, it drops down 3 inches. So at like 12 inches off the corner, it starts dropping down. And it's not a really even curve, so it's kind of something you just have to trace and then fiddle with a little bit. This went pretty well. You know, I'm not super proud of it, but getting it closed up, and that's the good part. Okay, so I got the front cap on. All of the rivets are in. I'll show you kind of how it looks. Just went with the holes that were there. Not gonna lie, they're not super straight, but had to go with them because, you know, making extra holes in it didn't make any sense. So all that in, you can see the butyl tape sticking out. Got to trim that off, and then yeah, this that's all tight. So take a look at the corner here. You can kind of see there's a little bit of an uplift, and that's kind of where I started my downward cut for that corner, and it did a pretty good job, honestly. I mean, basically this was 21 inches from here to here up until this point right there. So and then out down at the bottom it was like 23 inches to the top there. So what I did was, from that mark I made a tick mark, and then I went down to 23 on there, did a straight line, which I'll get to that in a second, a straight line from 23 up to 21, made that cut, and it actually bent around that corner and did the curve basically perfect. And then you can see I've got that side all closed up. Boom. There's gonna need a lot more caulking and silicone. Caulking just on these joints for extra support, or extra, you know, sealant and all that. But yeah, it looks really nice.